Hello, Aries. Hello to every heart listening in this very moment. Have you ever wondered why some days feel so ordinary, yet suddenly turn into a turning point that changes your destiny? The first Sunday of October is one of those days, not a coincidence, but a signal from the universe. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just a prediction. It's a reminder, a doorway that leads you deeper into yourself. And now, let us begin this journey together, starting from the moment the storm inside your heart is ready to rise. Aries, imagine a late summer sky where dark clouds slowly gather from every side. There is no thunder, no lightning, and yet you know a storm is forming. It isn't loud like the storms outside. This one lives inside your soul, and on the first Sunday of October, this storm will find its way to break free. This is not an outside event. No one else will see it. People will still laugh, still move through their routines, but inside you, there will be a moment when your breath grows heavy, your heart tightens with a pain too deep to name. That moment will take you to the hidden part of yourself, the place where you've stored fears, old wounds, and the questions of why you were even born into this world. Aries, you've grown used to being strong, to wearing the image of the warrior, the pioneer, one who goes first. And because of that, you rarely allow yourself to be weak. So while the world thinks you're fine, you carry a silent loneliness no one sees. This storm is the weight of it all coming together. It doesn't come to destroy you. It comes so you can face your shadows and discover the light God placed in your heart from the very beginning. I believe every soul will one day have to face its darkness, because only when we dare to look into those deep places do we realize the light has never left us. That light isn't out there somewhere. It doesn't depend on who accepts you or on fragile relationships that rise and fall. That light is the original flame, the breath of God that was placed in you the moment you arrived here. You may have asked yourself many times, why am I not like everyone else? Why do I feel more distant? The harder I try to connect, the answer is simple. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand apart, to be proof of a strength the world has forgotten. And that difference is the seed of your blessing. This storm comes as a reminder. It's time to stop running. It's time to stop hiding your flame and to let it burn even if others don't understand, even if they turn away. Aries, you may fear that the pain will crush you, but remember, every storm has an ending, and when the skies clear, you will see that you have changed. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the teacher. It is the hand of God leading you to a new level of understanding. Just as a seed must break open in the dark before it can push out a green shoot, you need this storm to shatter the false shells the world has placed over your soul. So let yourself pause. Let the tears fall if they need to fall. Don't call it weakness. It is the heart's way of cleansing itself. Don't call this storm your enemy. It is the baptism of your soul, the water that prepares you to be reborn, to return to who you truly are. And if you ever feel completely empty, trust that this is God making space inside you, a space to be filled with light and truth. The world may never fully understand you, but you don't need everyone. You just need yourself whole and unbroken, and you need to know the flame in your heart never goes out, even when darkness tries to swallow everything. When you come through this storm, you'll see it clearly. What makes you different is not your burden, it is your gift. Aries, this path is not easy, but you are not alone. Those who have walked through their own darkness will recognize the light in you, and they will come when you dare to live in truth. You call in your soul family, not bound by blood but by resonance, heart to heart. So don't be afraid when that day comes. Welcome it as a friend. Let it wash away the dust of years. Let it uncover your wounds so you can finally heal. And let it remind you you are not a victim of fate. You are the one chosen to awaken through it. And when you sit in the silence after the storm, listen closely, because in that silence, you will hear the whisper of God. You are not wrong. You are not broken. You were made exactly as you are meant to be, and this world needs you. And when you believe that whisper, you will feel a new chapter of your story begin to open, a chapter that leads you straight into the deepest loneliness of your heart. There are moments in life when you might be standing in a crowded room, laughter all around you, voices filling the air, yet deep in your chest, a cold emptiness rises that you cannot name. It feels as if you are living on a completely different planet. You see people moving, laughing, connecting, while you stand apart watching from behind a sheet of invisible glass. Others may think you are strong. that you always know how to move forward, how to keep your composure, but the truth is, there are moments when you want to scream. Does anyone truly understand me? And the only answer is silence. In that silence, your heart feels heavier, not because you are weak, but because people only touch the surface of who you are. They rarely dare to step into the deep place, where you've hidden secrets, dreams, and wounds. That is the pain no one sees. You can smile, you can keep working, keep talking, but inside a part of you keeps asking, why am I so different? Why does this heart long for true connection? Yet every hand I reach for seems to close on empty air. And then you realize this loneliness is not about missing people. It goes deeper. It is about the absence of understanding, because the truth is, you've always given more than you received. You've always listened. You've always opened your arms to accept others as they are. But when it's your turn, when your soul needs a refuge, too often you find yourself standing alone in the dark. There's something people rarely say, but I want you to hear it today. Loneliness is not always a sign that you've gone the wrong way. Sometimes it is the clearest proof that you're walking a road not many dare to walk. Most people gather in safe places, in comfort, where the hard questions never come. But you, with a heart and a mind that crave the truth, you've chosen the path few will take, so don't blame yourself. Your difference is proof that you carry a mission larger, deeper, and yes, sometimes lonelier. In this world, many hide their loneliness behind walls, busy schedules, fleeting pleasures, practiced smiles that keep questions away. But for you, that wall is thinner. You feel more. You see what others overlook, and because of that, your loneliness weighs heavier. But remember this, that too is a gift, because only those who feel deeply can touch the true beauty of existence. I want you to sit for a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time you felt left behind, felt like you didn't belong? Maybe it was one night you came home, looked in the mirror, and saw someone who gave too much yet received so little. Maybe it was one morning waking up next to familiar faces, but your heart still felt far away. Or maybe it was that moment when you shared a dream, and others just smiled politely, then changed the subject. All those moments did not come to break you, they came to remind you. Your soul does not belong in shallow connections. Your soul longs for something deeper, something truer, something real, and you deserve that. So if right now, as you listen, something in your heart whispers, I know this feeling, I want you to do something small. Write in the comments 3 simple words, I know this feeling, because when you write it, you will feel lighter, and maybe, just maybe, someone else drowning in their own loneliness will see it. And because of you, they'll feel a little less invisible. Sometimes, even the smallest sharing can save a soul from believing they don't exist. Loneliness is not the enemy. It is a doorway that leads you into your true world. A world where you no longer have to pretend, where you don't have to shrink to fit others' expectations. And when the storm rises in your heart on the first Sunday of October, remember this, that doorway is waiting for you to walk through. And from the moment you accept that truth, you will want to know what has been building all these years, that led to this very Sunday, the day fate chose for you to face yourself. There are things you've carried in silence for years, like an invisible backpack strapped to your shoulders. Every step, every experience, every time you were misunderstood, added another small stone inside. At first, you thought you could handle it. You told yourself, it's fine, I'm strong enough. You smiled, you kept going. You pushed forward as if the weight didn't exist. But over time, that backpack grew heavier, until your shoulders began to tremble. The storm inside you didn't come from one single event. It came from accumulation, the buildup of all the words you swallowed, because you feared no one would understand. The buildup of the tears you wiped away in the dark, so you could smile the next morning as if nothing happened. The buildup of all the times you suppressed your sensitivity, hid your wounds, shrank your dreams, just to be accepted, just to be called normal in the eyes of others. You learned to pretend to be strong. You put on the armor of a warrior, always moving forward, always knowing the way. But beneath that armor, a part of you is gasping for air, desperate for a pause. Pretending kept you alive, but it also became the burden that pulled you further away from yourself. And every time you chose silence instead of speaking, every time you dimmed your light instead of shining, a part of your soul seemed to lose its life. It's the slow death of dreams that never had a chance to fly, the quiet burial of ideas that could have lit the sky, the fading of emotions that were never allowed to breathe. People see you standing tall, but they don't see the small pieces of your soul falling away year after year. This world does not need another Aries shrinking to blend in. This world needs the real Aries, a blazing fire, one that doesn't ask permission to exist, one that doesn't bow its head to be loved. You were not born to fit inside the narrow box of expectation. You were born to break boundaries, to remind the world that truth and light may feel overwhelming, but they are what wake us up. Your deepest pain isn't about being rejected by others. It's about how many times you've rejected yourself. Every time you cut off a piece of your sensitivity, so you wouldn't be called weak. Every time you buried a creative spark, so you wouldn't be labeled strange. Every time you chose silence to keep the peace, instead of speaking your truth. Each time, you sacrificed a piece of your soul, and now all of it has returned, like an underground wave rising, refusing to be ignored any longer. This is the weight of difference, a weight you were never taught how to carry. They taught you to blend in, to behave, to keep others comfortable. But no one ever taught you how to live true to the difference that God Himself placed inside you. So you learned the hard way, through your falls, your broken wings, through the nights alone asking yourself, was it wrong to simply be me? The answer is no. Your difference is not a mistake. It is sacred. It is proof you were chosen to live a life unlike anyone else. And when you finally understand this, you'll see that all those years of shrinking were only the prelude, the preparation for this day, when you explode with more power than ever before. If you hear these words and see yourself inside them, let your heart rest for a moment. Don't blame yourself for the times you hid. Don't judge yourself for the times you dimmed your fire. Those moments were only to show you how precious it is to live in truth. And when you are ready to return, that flame is still waiting, unbroken, proud, never extinguished. And on that Sunday, everything you've held back will no longer stay hidden. It will erupt fierce and unstoppable, like a direct strike to your heart. A Sunday morning, the sky is not too heavy, not too bright, but as you open your eyes, a feeling rises inside you that you can't quite name. It's not ordinary fatigue, and not just a passing sadness. It feels like an underground current, silently flooding your soul, pulling you down into a place so deep. You've never set foot there before. You get out of bed. You look into the mirror. The face is yours, but the eyes feel unfamiliar, as if someone inside is whispering, "This isn't me anymore." That thought leaves you frozen, and slowly unease begins to tighten around your chest. You try to breathe deeply, but each breath feels heavier than the last. This isn't a sadness you can soothe away. It is what philosophers once called existential suffering. The moment you realize how lost you feel in the world, a world that's noisy, but doesn't listen, a world crowded, yet forgets the soul. And on that Sunday morning, you feel it more clearly than ever, as if you've wandered into a land where you don't belong. But this feeling is not here to destroy you. It's here to wake you. Because sometimes, only when you stand in a place that isn't yours, do you finally realize where home truly is. This pain, uncomfortable as it is, carries a healing message. It forces you to look straight into your own heart. It asks you the question, if this is not where I belong, then where is the place my soul is truly meant to be? I know for many of you listening right now, this isn't theory, it's memory. You've sat at a party, laughter all around, yet inside you felt nothing but emptiness. You've been in a relationship, but still felt completely alone. You've carried roles the world expected of you, but deep down it felt like acting on a stage, the audience smiling, while your heart quietly bled. If you've ever been there, remember this, you are not alone. This sense of not belonging is not proof that you're wrong. It's a reminder that you cannot find home in shallow places. You need something deeper. A true connection, a ground where your soul can exist fully, without hiding, without shrinking. And sometimes, the most painful moments become the clearest mirrors. They show you exactly what no longer fits. They show you all the molds you tried to squeeze yourself into, but were never meant to wear. The pain of this Sunday is not here to leave you in despair. It is here to awaken you, to tell you it's time to release what no longer serves you, and to have the courage to seek the place where you truly belong. So I want you to do something small. Close your eyes and remember one moment in your life when you realized, this is not where I belong. Maybe it was leaving a job, maybe it was walking away from a relationship, or maybe it was standing in a crowded room, yet your heart still felt alone. If that memory stirs inside you now, share it in the comments below, because your story might be the light that guides someone else, someone who feels lost right now. Believe this, today's pain is the seed of tomorrow's truth. The world may not understand you, but you understand yourself. And when you start choosing that truth, you'll see the door open, because sometimes the very moment you feel you're about to collapse is the moment God whispers, "You are not wrong, you are being led back to where you truly belong." And from that moment on, you will see a greater truth waiting behind the pain, the truth that your difference was never a curse. It has always been the blessing given to you from the beginning. A storm, when it passes, can sweep away everything, leaving only fragments and chaos behind. But there is another kind of storm, one that comes with a different purpose. It doesn't arrive to destroy you. It comes to tear down the walls you've built around yourself. The storm inside the soul is not like the storm outside. It doesn't knock you down. It knocks down the masks you've been carrying for far too long. On that Sunday, when your heart collides with its deepest pain, you will discover a strange truth. Pain does not kill you. It only peels away the mask, layer by layer, until you stand before the mirror and finally see yourself raw, whole, uncovered. And in that moment, you exhale. For the first time in years, you feel lighter, not because the sadness is gone, but because you no longer have to pretend. I believe this. Only when someone dares to touch the very bottom of their pain do they find the door to freedom, because the bottom is not the end. It is the opening. It is the place where you realize the burdens you've carried all this time were never truly yours. The expectations to fit in, to be like everyone else, to always be strong, were nothing more than invisible chains. And today's storm has come to break them, so you can walk forward with free feet. Aries, you no longer need to pretend. No need to smile when you want to cry. No need to nod when your heart is screaming no. No need to dim your light so others can stay comfortable, because your light was never meant to fit. It was meant to shine. This is the greatest lesson pain can bring. Your difference is not a wound. It is a mark. It is a gift. It is the soul's flame that God placed inside you before you ever spoke your first word, before you ever laughed, before you even knew how to name this world. For years, you've looked at your difference as a burden, as the reason you were left behind. But today, when the storm clears, you will see that this difference has always been your wings. You don't need to shrink to be loved. You only need to be yourself fully. This world already has enough copies, enough familiar faces, enough repeated stories. What the world is missing is one Aries living true, an original flame, unbowed, unapologetic, alive. And when you accept this truth, something miraculous happens. You will see light in your own eyes, not the kind that shines outward to impress, but the kind that glows inward to heal. And in that moment, you realize you didn't walk through the dark to become someone new. You walked through it to return to yourself. So sit quietly for a moment. Let your heart feel this lightness. Listen closely for the whisper inside. You are not cursed. You are blessed by the very difference you carry. If you let those words soak into your breath, you will feel your shoulders loosen. You will feel the invisible chains fall away, and that is the turning point from pain to release, from the burden of pretending to the light of truth, from feeling left behind to the freedom of finding yourself. But the journey doesn't end there, because every great gift always leads to a crossroad. And this gift, this sacred difference inside you, will soon open before you a choice you cannot avoid in life. There are moments when you have to stop, to look straight at yourself and ask, which road do I want to take? On that Sunday, after the storm has passed, two paths will open before you. One path leads you to keep living misunderstood, carrying loneliness like a sentence that never ends. The other opens the door to rebirth, where you turn pain into fuel, where you live true, where you stop chasing recognition from those who will never see your worth. This is no longer a story of fate. It is a story of choice. No one can walk it for you. No one can break the chains in your heart unless you want them broken. It is you who decides whether pain becomes a pit that swallows you whole or a launching pad that carries you to a higher life. There is a bitter truth we must face. We don't suffer because we are different. We suffer because we tried to live as if we were not. When you suppress your instincts, hide your light, shrink your sensitivity, you twist yourself into something untrue, and that betrayal of your own soul is what makes you bleed. Picture this. If your whole life is spent just pleasing others, just to earn the label normal, then at the end of the journey, who will give back the dreams you buried, the words you never spoke, the years you lived, without truly living? No one, only you, staring back with weary eyes, realizing you missed your one chance to live the life you were created for. But now, imagine another picture. You rise from your pain not to prove it to anyone else, but to prove it to yourself. You begin to live true. You laugh when you want to laugh. You cry when you need to cry. You speak what your heart longs to say. You shine without asking permission. And when you do, your life doesn't just change. It becomes a light for others, because true light always spreads. It draws in the souls who resonate with you. It creates relationships that go deep, and it opens doors that carry meaning. You may ask, won't I be lonelier if I choose this different road? The answer is, maybe for a time. But it will be the loneliness of a lighthouse standing tall in the dark sea, not the loneliness of someone lost. You will see, you don't need the whole world to understand you. Just a few kindred souls are enough to make the journey complete. If you're listening now, and your heart is asking, which road should I choose? Let your heart answer, not your fear. And if the whisper inside says, I choose authenticity, then write 3 small words in the comments. I choose authenticity, because when you declare it, you don't just affirm it to yourself. You give courage to someone else to step out of their darkness too. Life is always a chain of choices, but rarely does a moment arrive so clear that you can see the fragile line between suffering and rebirth. That Sunday is one of those moments, and if you are brave enough to choose rebirth, believe this, from that day forward, your life will never be the same again. Because when you choose rebirth, that Sunday will no longer be just a storm. It will become the beginning of a brand new journey. There are moments in life that ordinary words can't describe. They feel like a kind of spiritual labor, painful, intense, almost unbearable. But in that very pain, something new is born, and for Aries, that Sunday will feel like a sacred labor. The pain is no longer just pain. It becomes a force, pushing you to break through the shell you've been trapped inside for so long. From that day on, you will realize there is no reason left to keep shrinking yourself. You will stop bowing your head. You will stop hiding the sensitivity that was once called weakness. You will stop apologizing for the fire in your heart being too bright, too fierce, too different, because now you know fire was never born to please anyone. Fire was born to guide, to warm, to burn, and to awaken what has been asleep. This is the moment when your soul's light begins to shine again, no longer hidden under expectations, no longer chained by judgment. That light flows from within, gentle yet unshakable, soft yet unstoppable. It whispers one simple truth: when you stop searching for approval from others, you finally find freedom. You may not see it right away, but one day, in the stillness, you will notice your heartbeat calmer, your shoulders lighter, your eyes brighter, because you no longer carry the weight of becoming what the world wants you to be. You return to who you truly are, and that is the most beautiful gift you can give to life. If you're listening now, I want you to let go. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the flame inside you, a flame you once shielded, once tried to smother, afraid it would make others uncomfortable. But today, let it burn. Let it light your path, even if others don't understand, because that light doesn't need permission to exist. It only needs you to acknowledge it. And when you walk in your own light, you will feel the shift. The people unworthy of your soul will quietly leave. New doors will open. You'll be led to kindred spirits, to opportunities that align, to experiences that make you feel fully alive. You'll see, rebirth is not just an idea, it's real. It's every breath, every small choice you make to live true to yourself. That Sunday will pass, but it will leave a permanent mark on you. The mark that you dared to step out of the dark, that you dared to ignite the torch within. From that day forward, you no longer walk as someone bound. You walk as a soul who has found freedom again. This is your day of rebirth. No noise, no fireworks, no audience required, just you, your heart, and the light you finally let back in. A light that was never gone, only waiting for your courage to open it. And in that moment, you will understand the shock of destiny was never meant to break you. It was always meant to wake you up. There are days that feel like they're going to break you, moments when you believe your heart can't take even one more crack. But then you realize, the first Sunday of October is not the day you fall apart. It is the day you begin to live true. The day you stop wearing the mask. The day you stop trying to please the whole world. The day you stand tall, still trembling maybe, but with eyes brighter than ever, because you chose to return to yourself. That moment is a shock of destiny, but not meant to destroy you. It is a bell ringing, waking you from a long sleep, from the years you shrank yourself, from the quiet days of silent suffering, and when your eyes open, you see more clearly than ever before. You were not born to blend in. You were born to lead, born to open the way, to walk ahead, to burn, and to awaken the souls still asleep. This world does not need an Aries who pretends to be smaller, just to make others comfortable. This world needs you original, strong, honest, and radiant with the fire in your heart. That fire is not a burden. It is your mission. It is not your difference. It is your light. And only when you live true to that fire will you find the freedom your soul has always longed for. Thank you, Aries, for staying with me until this final moment. Your presence is a gift to the world. Your courage, your choice to live true, will become an inspiration for those still searching for their way. So I bless you with this. May you have the courage to live true with the fire in your heart. And may you never again feel the need to apologize for who you are, because you don't need permission to have value. You are the miracle, and when you walk in your truth, the universe itself will walk with you.